All right, so go ahead, grab yourself a cold or warm drink, sit back and relax because we're going to be talking about the T-80UK. And also, I will have some gameplay footage in the background showcasing this, me just killing AI in some players. It's the dev server. It's not like I'm taking this too seriously in here, but I digress. So I'm going to be very blunt in today's video. It might come off as a little bit too forward, I would think, but that's just the nature of me being kind of unfiltered. So with that being said, here it is. Now, the T-80UK is a vehicle that didn't really come to me as a surprise. I knew Gaijin was going to add some sort of vehicle for a squadron top-tier, high-tier vehicle, but let's be honest here, this is a top-tier vehicle. It doesn't matter which way you put it, it is top-tier, much like how the K-50 is also top-tier. But let me go ahead and backtrack just a little bit. Now, when the Leopard 2 PL first came into the game, it was, in my opinion, something that was kind of breaking, at least when it comes to the high-tier environment, because the Leopard 2 PL, all it does is it gives an easy way for most new players to come play in an environment that, in my opinion, should have been left to those who stuck around long enough to get to that BR. I mean, it's not an easy feat to get up there, right? It'll take you on average, what, 200-300 hours to get to top tier. Now, all you have to do is just spend $60, at least USD, or just grind out the vehicle through being in a squadron that's very active for about 3 months, and then you get the top tier experience, right? Something that should have taken you a couple of months at the very most with a lot of grinding time now takes you just a little bit of activity in the game itself or a wallet, right? Now, that was one of the biggest things that kind of drove me nuts, and even to this day, I still kind of feel like that, right? And then the M1A1 AIM came into play. And I understand that it wasn't something I agree with as well because it's basically a better Abrams, right? Now we have the T-80UK, but backtracking just a little bit more, actually, ever since the PL came into the game, it was the whole cat out of the bag thing where you can't put it back in. It doesn't matter what you do, you just cannot get that cat back in that bag because it's already here and it's going to stay. Now, because of that, it created some sort of imbalance or instability in the high-tier environment where most new players would come into one area, kind of bring down that win rate, leave, etc., etc. It kind of happened a little bit like that, too, with the Americans. Not as bad, thankfully. It's not being spammed out as commonly as the PL, I would think. But then we have the T-80UK. Now, Russia, in my opinion, is one of the most overbearing nations in top tier. And I'm not saying that very lightly either. I am a Russian main myself. I love my Russian tanks, I promise you guys, okay? But when it comes to the top tier environment, they're incredibly unbalanced. I mean, you have some of the best CAS in the game. The MiG-27K is probably one of the best ones, and there's probably very little argument right there. The best helicopter, which is no argument. It is the Ka-52 and the Mi-28NM and the Ka-50 are the best helicopters in the game, bar none. And Russia, I believe, also has the most top-tier vehicles, granted, not exactly 11.0. You have, I believe, 3 tanks that fire all the same shell type, the Svinets 2, which is 3BM60. So you have the T-90A, you have the T-72B3, and then you have the T-80BVM. Not many of the vehicles really have that type of firepower. Sure, maybe the Swedish do. Maybe the Germans do with DM-43 and DM-53, 2 and 3 of their tanks, respectively. But when it comes to their overall playability and efficiency, the Russians are just almost unrivaled in that area. And I'm sure there's many in the comment section that are going to say, hey, the Russians are easy to kill, get good scrub, EGG, easy win, you know, stuff like that. I get it, right? But I'm just pointing out the fact for the common person. And I'm not blind to the fact that Russia has a very high win rate right now. Now, what you're seeing right here is a little heat map that is unofficial, so take it with a grain of salt for the most part. But I'd like to take that into consideration because most games that I play at top tier are won while playing Russia. I probably win about 90% of my games playing Russia top tier versus playing, say, USA. I lose about 60 or 70% of my games in them, even while me being the absolute best in my team at times. And it's easy to say that the Russians are being carried very much by Gaijin. I mean, some say Russian bias, others say there's no Russian bias, it's just the nature of the tank itself, although real-world reports kind of tell a different story. I tend to leave, you know, real-world politics out of my games, in my videos, etc. But back onto the T-80UK, what this does is it takes a vehicle that is already existing. Now, the T-80U is a brilliant machine. It's amazing, right? It has great mobility, it has good firepower. The only downside about it is that it has Generation 1 thermal sights. Reverse rate is kind of a given for that type of vehicle, but it also has very piss poor vertical targeting speed. You have about, what, 30 or 40 degrees for the T-80 BVM, T-72B3, whereas the T-80U and the T-90 have about, what, 4 or 5 degrees per second, which is very rough, by the way. You will feel it. But that is offset by the vehicle's performance. Now, it is a very highly mobile vehicle with excellent torque and excellent off-road capabilities, and it's just a brilliant vehicle overall, right? And now you have a squadron vehicle that one-ups it just a little bit. Sure, you get the timed fuse, which is kind of useless in my opinion. And you have this VNET's one round, which in my opinion, again, is very well balanced. That shell type doesn't it's not overbearing. It doesn't overpenetrate as much as you think. It nukes almost everyone that you shoot at while not being way too overbearing, if that still kind of makes sense. So it's a decent shell for a great vehicle, but you one up the vehicle by adding the Stora APS. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It sucks. Stora, any sort of soft kill APS, doesn't really work at top tier. And I know you guys want it to work, but I promise there are very, 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 very few systems in the game at top tier, ATGMs, missiles, etc., that will be countered by it. I guess anything that's beam riding is going to do just fine against it. Anything that's ran by a tow or hot missile doesn't generally work, I believe, but you won't really find those at top tier. So it's safe for me to say that it's fairly useless and it's a gimmick. It does have its moments, I'll give it that, but not as much as you would think. And then we come down to one of the crucial parts of Russian vehicles, whether you want to accept this or not. This is kind of a fact. It doesn't like to spalt. So if you engage any sort of T-72, T-80, or T-90, there's a very good possibility that your DM-53, KW, M322, etc. probably won't spall correctly inside the vehicle, leading to you just destroying either a fuel tank, maybe a crew member, maybe some modules, but there's a very low possibility that you're going to actually detonate the ammunition. Now, that's not true for 100% of the cases. You have about a 60-40 chance of hitting the ammunition and destroying it. Hell, you can even hit the fuel tank of a T-80, T-90, and you would kill the tank before it even would touch the ammunition. I get more fuel explosions in those things than I do ammunition. It's kind of weird, right? But when it comes to the overall playability of top tier, the T-80s, the M1A1 AIM, the Leopard 2 PL, this is only the beginning. We still have Britain, we still have Japan, Italy, China. I mean, sort of China. They got the 96 AP, but I think we're going to be getting something else too. Maybe a VT, maybe a 96B or something. I'm pretty certain of it. And if you think this is bad right now, and you think the T-80UK is making things worse, wait until everyone gets theirs, and then things are going to be very interesting. Though, over time, this kind of levels out a little bit. Some of the new players who have no idea what they're doing will end up just going back to the respective BRs until they figure out the game a little bit further and come back up into the higher ranks. At least that's what I've noticed. But rest assured, the first couple of weeks of the server being out, I can guarantee you the server's going to be filled with T-80UKs, BBMs, etc. And you know the best part about it too? Is as a creator, it's easy for me to say, use my 3% discount. You know, you save money on Golden Eagles and stuff. Oh, yeah, so I'm going to be seeing that chart kind of kick up a little bit. Myself, you know, Oddballs, Fly, Tech, Wingaling, Jaguara, just Spitfire, Ash. So many people, so many of us are going to be seeing a huge increase of Golden Eagle purchases for this type of vehicle. I can almost guarantee it. But TLDR, case in point, I don't agree with this. I really don't, but it kind of is what it is, and it's something you kind of have to live with now in War Thunder because it is only going to get worse. And seeing that this is coming from a top-tier tanker, trust me when I say it's only going to get worse. So that's really all I got to say for you guys when it comes to the T-80U itself. I will have a definitive, I guess, overview of this vehicle when it drops into the live server. So definitely stay tuned for that. It's probably going to be nothing really special, nothing really new when it comes to the actual playability of the vehicle itself. I mean, you've already been seeing the background footage for this thing, so there's that about it, how I'm doing this before I even get that footage. So I'm kind of hoping this turns out pretty well. But anyways, again, let me know what you guys think. Is this something that guys shouldn't have done? Maybe it's something that it should have been done a long time ago. Maybe you agree with this entirely. Maybe you do not. Feel free to let me know down in the comment section below, and try to keep things a little civil. I understand there's, you know, high tension with politics and in the game itself. I get it, all right? Trust me, I'm not blind to this stuff, guys, okay? But please, all I ask of you is keep things civil, because I will shadow ban if you're not. Just saying, okay? I hate doing that. I really do. I'm being very honest. Transparency. Okay, cool, awesome. Anyways, guys, again, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. I know a lot of you guys don't really make it to this part of the video. I mean, less than, I think, 6% of you actually make it to the end of these videos, which is, it's kind of heartbreaking to say the least. But to those who do stick around long enough, I appreciate you very, very much. Seriously, you guys are freaking awesome. Thank you so much. So, it kind of broke my heart a couple days ago when I realized that not many of you guys get to the end, but it's a long video. I get it. Anyways, this is why I gotta get into TikTok. I'm kidding. I'm joking. That's sort of. Anyways, guys, again, thank you so much. I will see you not only in the next video or even the streams, but in War Thunder itself. Until next time.